Hello, everyone. I want to extend our thanks to you for joining another one of our AMAC Foundation Social Security webinars. My name is Ken Barron, and joining me is another advisor and colleague, Mark Hendelson. Also joining us behind the scenes is our executive director and technical expert extraordinaire, Jolene Tenenti, overseeing the operations of this webinar. Thanks, Jolene. Jolene's also going to be keeping her eyes on your incoming questions in the chat room. Just a little disclaimer regarding today's webinar topic of how to file an application with Social Security is Mark and I are both retirees from the Social Security Administration with about 70 years of experience between the two of us. We've handled hundreds and hundreds of different Social Security applications during our careers, and we want to share some important processes when filing for benefits. So now, this webinar is only going to be addressing how and when to apply for certain Social Security benefits with Social Security. So we're not going to have any discussions about benefit options, amounts of benefits, certain ages, our recommendations, and everything else. This is something that can be addressed on some other webinars, some webinars to come. Or we can certainly welcome your questions in our email and our telephones, and we can address those other issues. So there's usually about three things involved when looking at Social Security benefits and applying. It's what to file for, number one. Number two is when to file for these benefits. And these are certain things that, again, we can address through your personal email. But we certainly don't want to share any personal information online when we're recording, of course. And the third thing, of course, the three topics is what we're addressing today, how to file. Okay, so what to file for, when to file, that is for another time. How to file is what we are looking at today. So what we're looking at is if you want to address any of your questions, if you want to get into the chat room, and we'll address, of course, at the end of this webinar, we're going to address some of those chats and some of those Q&As, those questions, as long as time allows, of course. But if we can't get to them, folks, don't worry. We are going to be making notes. We are going to keep an eye on your questions and your chats. It's not that we don't want to, it's that we may just run out of time. And in order to get everybody on board with the information we have and keep things moving along, we'll address some of the other questions and chats at a later date. So now I'm going to hand things over to Mark as we move forward.
Thank you, Ken. Pleasure to be here today with our AMAC audience. As Ken mentioned, today's topic is going to discuss filing options, how you file for benefits. Social Security prefers most individuals to file online for benefits. It's very efficient, very user-friendly system to file your application for benefits. If you're not comfortable filing online, you can certainly call the Social Security 800 number, which is 1-800-772-1213, and schedule an appointment for a representative in your local office to contact you, usually over the phone, to complete your needed application. You can file for benefits up to 4 months in advance of your entitlement date. benefits covering certain classes of benefits cannot be filed online. If you're looking to file an application online with Social Security, you can do so by establishing a My Social Security account through the Social Security website, which is www.socialsecurity.gov. The My Social Security account. Anybody age 18 or older can establish and should establish a My Social Security account with the Social Security Administration. That gives you the ability to file your application online for the following classes of benefits. You can file a Social Security retirement application, a Social Security spousal application, a Social Security Medicare only application, and a Social Security disability application. All of those classes of benefits have the ability for online filing. If you're looking to file for a survivor benefit, a widow or a widower's claim, or if you're looking to file what they call an auxiliary claim for a child under 18 or a child who's a student in high school 18 to 19, or a disabled adult child disabled before the age of 22, those applications need to be filed by scheduling an appointment with the Social Security Administration. So the first step in this process for everybody is to set up that very important My Social Security account through the Social Security website.
Thank you, Mark. So while we're talking about setting up a My Social Security account, now we do hear from some folks, some of members that send us emails or give us a call, where many times in our emails we do recommend getting in touch with Social Security, or better yet, trying to do your business online. As Mark mentioned, even after you are receiving benefits, it's a really handy tool to have, because you can go back in this My Social Security account, take a look at your earnings record, get another 1099 at the end of the year if you need it for your tax records, change in address. There's just so many. Direct deposit, that's a big one right there too. So you can do a lot of work yourself instead of having to be on hold with Social Security, on the phone, or even trying to visit an office, where nowadays it's really challenging to be standing in lines waiting to speak with someone just to do a change of address. So you can certainly take care of that. Now, we also hear from a lot of folks that you're trying to establish a My Social Security account, and for some reason it's not allowing you, or it's not letting you, or you've gone in so many times that basically is just kicked you out, and now you can't even get in. Well, one of the first things that we recommend is wait another 24 hours. Sometimes these programs with Social Security will reset itself, and maybe it was just one click that you made unintentionally that just kind of just blocked you out. So you can try it within another 24 hours to see if it'll work for you then. Now, a few things about the My Social Security account people need to be aware, okay? You've got to be a U.S. citizen in order to establish one. Not just anyone can go in here and do so. You've got to have a Social Security number. Really important there. You've got to be at least 18 years old. And of course, you've got to have a valid email address. Outside email addresses, foreign email addresses, for some reason, many times it'll be some problems trying to establish one. Now, to unlock an account, if you do get locked after 24 hours have elapsed, you do have to call Social Security, and they have the ability many times to unlock your screens and unlock the account. You can go back in and try it again. So again, we're going to keep putting out the Social Security phone number, the 800-772-1213. You can call them, speak with a representative. They're open 8 to 7, Monday through Friday, Eastern time. Okay. It actually prompts you. So you really don't need to stay on the phone and wait to speak with a representative about this. There is a voice prompt. And when it does say, does ask for the prompt, you can just say help desk. Okay? You can just say help desk. And actually, you'll be taken to some other folks who can actually take care of this for you. Now, if Social Security, they do reserve the right to question whether someone, because of scams, because of fraud, because of so many things going on today on social media and websites, and just on and on, you know what I'm talking about. They do reserve the right to say, hey, look, we'll send you a letter. Okay, we'll send you a letter to basically activate your account again, and they send you an activation code in this letter. So always remember, always please remember that if you are going to any websites that involves Social Security, any government site, if it does not have .gov in the URL address, .gov means it's official. All right, if you receive anything else, .com, .net, whatever it might be, I would not go there if I were you. Okay, now .gov/my account will actually take you to a step where it says enter your activation code. And with that code, it gets unlocked. You can try to set up the My Social Security account. You can reset your account by going back. Like most things, you forgot your username, forgot your password, and then you can sign on with a login, login.gov. Okay. Many of these things actually walk you through the entire process. Social Security has some very user-friendly applications. It is menu-driven. When you go into an application, and maybe Mark can talk about this later on as well. When you go into an application and it may ask you, do you currently have any disabilities prevent you from working? And you say no, guess what? It's going to move on. It's not going to ask you more questions about, well, are you sure you're not sick? Are you sure you don't have an illness or things? No, it's going to keep going on to another topic. So it's very friendly in that respect. The application itself, okay, it's very simple to get to. You go in to any of your search engines, or and you just put in ssa.gov/apply. It's going to bring you right to Social Security's website. It's a secure website, folks. Okay, there are tons of people overseeing Social Security systems. Anything that seems a little off kilter to the agency, they're right on. Okay. Now, here's one important thing, but probably one of the most important that I like to emphasize to people who are filing an application online, whether it's retirement, spousal, disability, Medicare, whatever it is. Every time you start an application, you are going to be given a re-entry number. It's going to pop up right there on the screen. Write it down, get a copy of it, whatever you need to do, write down and keep this re-entry number handy. You get a power failure in the middle of your application. If you get, for whatever reason, kicked out, you lose your internet connection, whatever it might be, you can go back in at a later time date with this re-entry number, and it brings you right back to where you left off. And the unfinished application, it's going to enable you to continue the entire process. So And some of these applications, it's super important. And I know that Mark, again, is going to cover some of these. So let's move forward with some of these applications.
Let's talk about spousal benefits and survivor benefits. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, if your husband or wife is receiving benefits and you're looking to file a spousal application, that can certainly be done online. Social Security will review your record and your spouse's record to see what, if any, spousal benefits could be paid to you. So spousal benefits are very efficiently and effectively handled by online filing. As I mentioned earlier in an earlier slide, survivor benefits, widows and widower benefits, to file for those benefits, if your spouse has passed away, you would need to call the 800 number and make an appointment with your local office to file for those benefits. If you are currently receiving on your husband or wife's record spousal benefits, and then he or she dies, once proof of death is entered into the Social Security system, you would be converted from a life spouse's benefit to a survivor widow or widower's benefit. If you are at least full retirement age, when your spouse passes away, payment will begin automatically. So you would be converted to the survivor widow or widower's payment with payments issued. You would also receive the one-time $255 lump sum death benefit. When your spouse passes away, if they pass away before you, and you are not yet full retirement age, you would need to complete a certificate of election form SSA 4111, electing a reduced survivor payment. So you would be converted from life to survivor benefits, but those payments would be held. If you are not yet full retirement age, those payments would be held until the certificate of election form electing a reduced survivor benefit was completed and then submitted to your local office. I always recommend that you submit in person any and all forms to Social Security. Have Social Security date stamp and give you a receipt that you've submitted the needed form. That could be the certificate of election in this case, or any other form. So you have proof that you've submitted that form for processing by Social Security. Next slide, please. Filing for disability is a large workload within the Social Security Administration. Lots of resources go into those applications. It's a slower process, very time consuming. On the front end, for the individual filing for benefits, that is time consuming. And also, once that application is filed, the development of these claims can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months, sometimes even longer, because Social Security, through the Department of Disability Services, DDS, that agency works with Social Security in processing these claims. They've got to go to the medical sources for records, and that could be very time consuming. So filing for disability benefits, unlike most other applications with Social Security, is a longer, more complicated process. I recommend to individuals that I speak to that disability applications be filed online by an individual. That gives you the best opportunity to put a complete application together, painting a very detailed picture of what your medical conditions are and how they impact your ability to work. To receive disability benefits, the definition is very simple. You've got to be found 100% disabled with a medical condition that is expected to keep you from gainful, substantial employment for a period of 12 months or longer or result in death. As was mentioned earlier, when you file for disability benefits, you will get a reentry number if you need to leave the application that you're loading and you want to come back and do it at a later time. Really, really critical to paint a complete picture, be very detailed. Filing online gives you the best opportunity to do that, and submit the application as timely as possible so it gets into the system and Social Security is able to work on it on a timely basis. Okay, Ken? Medicare applications, as I mentioned earlier, can also be filed online. If you are Medicare age, 65 or older, and not interested in filing for monthly benefits, you want to wait until a later date to start your benefits, or you might be working full-time and earning well over the annual earnings limitation. So you're looking just to establish Medicare eligibility at 65. You can do what is known as a Medicare-only application, where you're not filing for monthly benefits. You're just filing for Medicare coverage, Medicare A, hospital coverage, Medicare B, doctor visits, Medicare D, prescription. If you are working at 65 and covered through a plan from work, you likely would want to just file for Medicare Part A, the free hospital coverage, if you're going to continue with your employer plan. If it's 65, you're going to not remain covered through your employer plan, then you would file for the A and B and D parts of Medicare. If you are turning 65 and receiving benefits, you are automatically enrolled in Medicare. When I worked for the government, when I worked for Social Security, there were every single day people walking into the office and waiting to be serviced to sign up for Medicare, even though their enrollment was automatic because they were getting benefits. So if you're getting a spousal benefit, a survivor benefit, a retirement benefit, or a disability benefit, enrollment is automatic. Disability enrollment for Medicare occurs after you've gotten 24 payments, 24 disability checks. And that could be a disability payment based on your own Social Security work record. It could be a disability payment based on being a disabled widow or widower. Those benefits are payable as early as age 50. Or you can get a disability benefit, as I mentioned earlier, as a disabled adult child on the record of a living or deceased parent. So after getting disability payments for 24 months, Medicare enrollment is automatic. So that covers Medicare filing with Social Security.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. So we have given you quite a bit of information as far as how to file for benefits. This is going to bring actually our webinar to an end, and we hope you are all taking some positive information away with you. We'll look at some of your questions, and I know that we did get a few. John, we will be getting back to you via email. I know that Jolene asked for some more information, and we will get back to your question, but we're going to take it more on a personal note and address it via email with you. If we're obviously we're starting to run out of time, we didn't want to take up too much of your day. We'll get back to you obviously by phone or address address your questions. But here, please remember that we are not affiliated with Social Security, Medicare, or any of their systems or personnel. Mark and I used to work for them, but once we retired, those eyes were gone. Okay, so if you have more personal information as to what's appearing on Social Security's records, you do have to get in touch with them. For any other questions that you may have, it's not just Mark and I on this advisory team. We've got some very well-versed colleagues that have been working, answering your questions and inquiries and providing options. I'm sure some of you have possibly seen the Ask Rusty series of articles and information that goes out in newspapers and newsletters and even on our website. So we rely on you to provide us with as much background information as possible in order to give you an appropriate answer or guidance if you're contacting us. If you're calling us, obviously our colleagues are going to be able to talk with you one-on-one and get that information. If you're providing us an email question, please provide us with as much background as you can. Because again, we can't go to Social Security's records and take a look as what has transpired. So on the screen in front of you is contact information to us at the foundation, either via email or our phones. Please feel free to take a look at this. If you don't have time, you can always go to AMAC Foundation. Make sure, folks, you go to our AMAC Foundation. That's where you can locate us. Now, I want to thank Mark and Jolene for being part of this webinar, sharing their valuable talents. Most of all, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. Everybody's time is valuable. Thank you for sharing some of that time with us. We hope to bring you more of these educational webinars on a more consistent schedule. We're hopefully going to continue addressing other programs and benefits in more detail. May just take one, could just be spouses. Another webinar, it may just be Medicare. And I know that we have, some of our colleagues have been doing some recordings, and I believe some of those are available in our foundation website. With that said, I'm going to close out by saying goodbye for now and hope to see you again on the road with another webinar. Thank you for joining us.